What up, mongrels? Right, well, I've got a new bit of kit to test. The Zelter Shelter. Bought it on Amazon the other day for about 68 quid. It immediately went up to 135 quid after I bought it and back down to 79. So if you do like what you see in this vid, keep an eye on it because the price goes up and down like a horse draws. Specs and all that sort of stuff. I had a piece of paper with it all on, which, me being me, I probably left on the coffee table. So if I remember, I'll whack a photograph of it in now. With this bit of kit, price wise, you should really be looking at it as if you're buying a hooped bivvy or a like, because that's the sort of thing it is. Multi-purpose. I'll show you the setups and configurations when I get down there. And I thought I'd give it a little test up on a hillside where it is, give or take, gusting 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, so we can see how it holds up. I've had a quick look at home. Yeah, I'll reserve judgment until I see it in the wind, but I'll run you through step by step to see how good she actually is. Good to be out walking around though. Had a camp with Johnny last night in my bleeding living room. For anyone that watched that video, I'm sorry. It was terrible. Anyway, to the site. So, here we have the Zelter Shelter. You can pack it down a bit smaller, comes to about there. I've just shoved it in today because I used it last night. Has instructions on the front on how to set it up in different configurations. I'm going to start with the poncho. If you don't want to watch me configure it into a poncho, skip forward until the point I'm wearing it. See if these instructions are easy to follow. I'll need them. So, oh, let's get back a bit. As a poncho, there's fire mured. That's it as a poncho. Now, a few things here. It will obviously keep you dry in a downpour, but, and there are a couple of buts, all this stuff here, you've got your inflatable tube and the inner inflatable that just makes it a little bit cumbersome. Would I say it's the best poncho I've used? I can't tell you until it actually rains. This bit at the back would irritate the living bejesus out of me. That should really be held up higher. I'll have to look, see if I can modify it. So there we have it. Don't take long at all. That's only the second time I've done it. The instructions are relatively easy to follow. So from here what I'll do, whip her off and set her up as the tent. I'm not rushing through this. This is just how I roll. As you can see, the hood got some decent zips on it. It's got a rain flap over the top so no water should come in when it's set up as the tent. Unpop the popper. Undo the Velcro. Just do that up. You've got a blow tube. The blow tube itself, I really don't go much on. That's probably one of the worst bits about this, but it does work. See what I mean? Get on. Left me poppers done up. So that's basically it set up. I'm going to peg it down because it is windy, and then I'll be able to show you some of the faults I can see with this. So then let's have a little wander around her. As you can see, the inflatable tubes hold its shape. The wind is coming in from behind. You've got peg out point at the back. This area here is a footbox area to give you more room when you lay down. One of the major setbacks on this design that I've seen straight away is that there are no tie out points here so that you can actually make it rigid. You've got one clip the other side that you could pull out, but in any sort of wind or rain, that is going to close in on you when you're inside. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Lee, you've basically bought a hoop bivvy. You've done nothing but bitch and moan about hoop bivvies. And you'd be right. This is a multi-functioning bit of kit. I'll show you the other things that it does, but I do want to show you the pluses and minuses. Hydrostatic head of, what was it, 10,000, which is pretty damn good. Another cause for concern, as you will see, this inflatable tube, I can't see that standing up to heavy winds. But it's certainly big enough. It stands at hip height on me, and there is plenty of room. Now, one of the things that is a big drawback, I'll get in and show you, that footbox is nowhere near big enough. When you're laid in there, even without a sleeping bag and a pad, your feet feel pinched together, and you can keep feeling that bloody inflatable bit on top on your legs. I don't find it comfortable at all. And there you go, look. I've blown and blown and blown into that. Don't know what to say, really. Now, if you're inside that, and that's happening every 5 minutes, that's going to be a little bit annoying. Personally, I know it sort of defeats the object, and this could be happening because the front door's open, but if I'd designed this, I know the USP is the fact that it's inflatable and a bit of a gimmick. I would have had a little one of these coming off here, so you could attach your stake. Let me try that in bleeding English. I would have one of these coming off here to about this long, so you could attach your walking pole and peg that out. That way, that would be tight as you like, that ridge line. You could then peg out these sides, and it would have been glorious. Taut, lovely, everything, the functionality would be the same. The one drawback, you have got the erection. You would have to have a walking pole with you rather than inflating it. With the way that's inflated, I don't like the nozzle, and you are going to get condensation within that tube, and after a while it is going to rot. So you've also got to bear that in mind. Another thing that really baffles me is, as you can see here, you've got pegs at the foot of the inflatable tube. Brilliant. You come round here, as you can see by the way I've had to use paracord, that's underneath the tent. The foot finishes right up there. A little bit bizarre. Right, let me get inside and show you what else I think's a bit. So, I'm now inside. It's definitely windproof, but as you can see, these sides are getting pushed in. I can see this thing, even though it is made from a breathable material, in the same way your hoop bivvies and stuff like that are going to suffer, I think this is going to be a nightmare for condensation. I really do. But, I don't know, I've not actually tried it yet, but I can feel myself warming up already. You obviously can undo the hood, so that you can get a bit of ventilation in there, and you can undo the zip. If you look down here, my feet are in that foot box. You know, I've got another half a foot down the bottom that I can move down, but that is tight. That is really tight. And with this flapping in your face all the time, I don't think it'll make for a very good night. The worst thing about this so far is, can you see where all three zips meet? That leaves a hole big enough for 2 fingers. So with that being pegged down to the ground, you have a water ingress point of, yeah, 2-inch, which ain't the best, but I must say it's keeping the wind off us. I love the idea, and you've got enough room to sort of set up in it. I saw this a few years ago on a Channel 4 thing, and I fell in love with it and thought I'm going to have one of them. And I think with a few tweaks, it could be an awesome bit of kit. But set up as this shelter, not so much, I'm afraid. I'm starting to sweat up already. And with water getting in from that zip, it's got nowhere else to go with all the waterproof zips and that around, so you are pretty much stuck in it. One other little moan, this come with, not sure if you can see them, marks and that on the door. That is an Amazon thing, not a design thing. And once again, I wish the gent that makes these all the best. I'm genuinely not trying to shit on his product, but personally, the selling point or gimmick of these air tubes is what knackers this tent. More tie outs either side would make it more rigid. If you got rid of that air tube and replaced it with somewhere that you could attach the walking pole, you'll be golden. But there you go. I'm really starting to boil up. Let's get back outside before I melt. Yep, look at the size of that bloody blower. Not the best, but great concept. So the shelter's set up like this, the good points and the bad points. Ease of setup, it is very easy to set up without a doubt. The material is a good material. All of the zips are waterproof zips. All of the seams are taped and seam sealed. Yeah, it says it's a breathable material. I've got no reason to disbelieve him because he's a real genuine bloke and he's come up with a great idea. But 5 minutes in there and I was sweating like David Lammy handing in his expenses, so who knows. That gap down here where all three zips meet is a real concern for me. But it has got the storm flap to stop anything getting in the zip. Hopefully, if you tuck that down enough, it should do the job. I don't know, I've not tried it yet. The lack of pegging out points or tie off points, once again I believe lets it down. The fact that it can just keep... The good thing is if it does collapse on you, you can erect it again from inside the tent, which is obviously unlike other tents. Size of the footbox ain't big enough. I'm not a tall person, I'm not a big person. If I had a sleeping mat and my sleeping bag in there, I can see it being having issues. Tie out points there, keep it rigid enough, not an issue. That one being underneath is just a bit odd. There's obviously a reason for it when you set it up in a tarp configuration and shit like that. You can roll it up in itself and you've got bungees to hold, although one of those bungees already looks like it's on its way out, and I've literally put this up last night to make a crappy video and again now. But that aside, the Amazon problem where it looks like they've sent me either a damaged or used one, but the Zelter Shelter, great idea in principle. I'm going to let her down now and set her up in a tarp tent mode. There are instructions on YouTube on how to do this. I've not personally looked at them. I've erected enough tarp tents in my time that if I can't figure it out, there's something wrong. I'm guessing you unzip the lot, pull the corners tight, stick the pole in and pull out the other corners. We'll have a look to see how quick and easy it is and what sort of coverage it gives you. Right. That wasn't the tarp's fault, that was my fault. This is probably not the right way to do it, but it is definitely a way to do it. I will go back and have a look, but with the advent of one more pole, or maybe place that pole differently, you can immediately see the difference. That didn't work, did it? That ain't going nowhere. So you've got a decent size. Inside, what I would recommend, if that there had another pole in it, which you could quite easily do, you have another tie out there. Look at the amount of room you've got inside then. You could probably squeeze 2 people in. Now again, you've got to realise I'm on top of a hill and it is blowing hard, but just the centre bit itself is the same size as what the shelter is, so yeah, it'll do a job. Thumbs up for the tarp tent configuration with the right poles and maybe even a different setup. I could have that set up slightly wrong, but I can figure that out and play with it. On the whole though, at minimum, you get the normal room you have, plus room to store your kit. With another pole in that corner there, that'll lift it up. You've got a big wide entrance and a little porch to cook under. So I've got to say, if I was out and about and using this, I would probably use it as a tarp tent. To be honest with you, it's already handling the wind a lot better than when it's inflated. Again, materials are all cushy. You can also use it as a tarp for a hammock. Now the dimensions they give you for that, when it's pegged on a diagonal, you get 3.5 by 3.5 meters coverage, which is enough for most hammocks. Obviously it does get narrower towards the foot of the hammock, so be a little bit careful with that. If you're after a one-use piece of kit that does it all, set it up as a tarp, set it up as a tent, set it up as a tarp tent, and you got yourself a poncho. Even with its shortcomings, it was worth what I paid for it. If you were to go down the line of a hoop bivvy, the hoop bivvy is going to be twice the weight, but the same sort of price. If you go down to an entry level, you know, lightweight hiking tent, you're going to be talking the same price, if not more, a little bit more expensive. I'm going to test it when I go out on a cycle camp, because I don't want to lie to you, this is literally just the first look at it. The issue down the bottom with the zips and the 2-finger hole might not be an issue because of the storm flap. The fact that, you know, I started to sweat up a bit in there might not be an issue. I don't know, I've not slept in it. I'll tell you what I do know, that footbox ain't big enough, full stop, just ain't. And I would definitely 100%, and I may well do it myself, attach a tie out to that storm flap and get rid of that blow up stuff, because it's in the way when you wear it as a smock. The tube is pants, and it is pants. Sorry mate, if you watch this, genuinely I really respect what you've done with it, and when I first saw it I thought that is brilliant. 85% of it is bang on, but that 15% could be the difference between having a wet night or a dry night, and if water comes in there, it ain't going to go nowhere. The material will definitely do what it's meant to do. I've no doubt about that. Tie outs on the side, tie out on the front, jettison that blow up thing, because it's only going to rot after a couple of years if you keep blowing it up, and you should be golden. To be honest with you, I'm really impressed with it as a piece of kit, but there are just a couple of drawbacks. Think of how much room you'd have without that tube. Just a thought. What do I know? What do I know? Anyway, there we have the Zelter Shelter. Any questions? Put them in a link below, comment below. In fact, just comment. Comments help the channel. They help the channel tremendously, like you wouldn't believe. So even if it's just to call me a prick, whack a comment in. I'll just show you that zipped up hood. See, when all that is done, you've got the storm flap there, double storm flap, and you can open it up, use the Velcro so you've got ventilation. Material and everything is cushy. So yeah, I am not unhappy with my purchase, but there we go. See you on the walkout. I've got to tidy all this shizzle up. I was going to put it up as a tarp, but I don't think them trees are man enough, are they? Right, that's that all done then. Now I hope that I didn't come across as too negative in that video. The gentleman that makes these seems like a lovely bloke. He is doing exactly what I keep moaning that other people don't do. He's getting out there, he's being inventive, he's creating kit that we need, and the price point isn't that high. In moderate conditions, I can't see that tube being an issue other than the size restraints inside. That the little hole at the bottom may not be an issue. So, as I say, this is just a first look video. I will use it. Go over, give the bloke some love on Instagram, tell him I said hello. Yeah, I'm not gutted I bought it. It could turn out being a go-to bit of kit. The tarp configuration and the tarp tent configuration is definitely a winner. I mean, you've got decent amounts of room, and you've got the extra bonus that if you want a bit more protection from the elements, you can whack it up fully enclosed. So that was a Zelter Shelter. If the gent that makes them, Lee I think his name is, sees this video, it wasn't meant to be an attack video, mate, but I've got to be honest in what I see. And with the addition of a couple of tie outs and, you know, maybe ditching that blow up thing, I know it's your USP, I get that, but I think it takes away more than it adds. But anyway, let me know what you think. If you do see this and you want to chat, hook me up on Instagram, mate. Happy to talk about it. So, until I manage to get my arse out again, this fat wheezing bloke is gonna say, ta-ra!